And it's one that you may have heard before. I say chicka chicka. You guys say boom boom. I like that one. So we're going to go with it. Chicka chicka. Excellent. And when you guys give me that boom boom, I'd like eyes on me. I would like voices turned off. And I would like your ears open so that you can listen for these directions.
Excuse me, this thing.
Okay, so we talked about this earlier today in computer lab, troubleshooting before we have to notify the teacher. What do you think you can do to take care of that? Do you need to go to the nurse for that, or maybe just go get some paper towels? Oh, that would be an excellent idea. Thank you. All right. So as I stated, I have got a challenge for you today. Hey, flipping bottles, that's a fun time. Let's do that at home. I have a challenge for you today. And I don't know, I don't think, I could be wrong. You might surprise me. I don't think you guys can pull it up. I don't think you'll be able to do it.
Yay!
Yeah?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, I have challenged you
You
guys.
challenged.
Yay!
Yes. The best teacher. Challenge.
Are you ready? Chicka chicka?
Boom.
My challenge for you today goes along with those videos we watched this morning. So one of the videos that we watched was about matter and a change in the state of matter. And then we talked about physical changes and we talked about chemical changes. So I have, as I stated, a challenge. What is this?
Sugar.
Okay. I have a bag of sugar. No, Sean never came to those. I would never do that. All right, so I have a bag of sugar. I want you guys to be thinking in your head, what could she be doing? I'll wait till you guys are ready. In your head, you're supposed to be thinking about what could she be doing. That doesn't mean coming out of our voices, right? So I have a bag of sugar. This is not a bag of bread. This is a bag of sand, courtesy of Mrs. Torrance, who went outside yesterday in her yard and got me sand. Are you guys contemplating what I'm doing right now? You thinking about it?
Yeah.
I'm going to use my table. So
You did want to
Okay? I have a jar. And I'm going to go around and I will be giving these jars to individuals here in a second. So just hold on. Just hang on a second. Here comes my challenge to you. Okay? Okay? So far my challenge seems pretty simple, right? Ladies and gentlemen, lots of talking happening. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to hear the challenge. So far my challenge is pretty basic. There's sugar in a jar. Not too bad. But hang on, it gets better. I've added sand to my sugar. Ready? I'd like you to separate those, please.
Uh-oh. I like to do that.
You would? Because I'm going to have a jar for your table and a jar for your table.
You can't
for
do
your
that.
table. All right?
Just dump it all out. She's recording.
So ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to think. Let's think right now. I just handed a jar of sugar and sand mixed together, and I told Mia, I said, separate that. I want my sugar back, and I want my sand back. And you guys are thinking, that can't be done.
Yeah,
You think it's a chemical change.
Physical.
You think it's a physical change. Tatiana says it can be done. Hang on. Here's what I'm going to do. Right now, I want you guys to quietly communicate with your tables. And listen for what we're communicating about. what would my hypothesis be? Can I separate sugar from sand? Quietly talk about it with your table while I bring you guys jar and your sand and sugar.
So you need
Alright, I need you guys at your table. So this table, go ahead and separate that for me. Alright, Skylar, join this table. Right now you guys are thinking, you're generating some ideas. How can I separate them? Right? Alright, fourth graders. Right now you are thinking of ideas. You're generating ideas. When we're thinking, when we're brainstorming, are we dumping out our jars?
Yeah. No.
No, right now we're thinking about stuff. We're brainstorming. We were supposed to be conversing with our groups about what is it that we think we might be able to do. Chicka chicka. Boom boom. Alright, so I'm gonna number my, do you guys already have table numbers? This is one thing I've never learned. Alright, we're gonna number tables for ease today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Oh, hang on. Well, you were to join that table.
Gosh, we have
So, table number 1, ladies and gentlemen, table number 1 is going to share one way that they think they might be able to separate the sand and sugar. What's one way?
We could dump them out and you could take a show regular paper and you can tell if it's darker or lighter, and if it's lighter then the other one has sugar and if it's darker then means it's sweet.
Okay, do you guys agree with that? Is that a good way to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, table number 2, you have a suggestion.
We could put
Hang on, Aubrey. Ladies and gentlemen, we are listening right now as our friends in the class are telling us their ideas, their suggestions. Go ahead, Aubrey.
So you could put the sand in the lid and then you can put sugar in the jar.
Okay, so we can try and separate it by putting the sand in the lid and the sugar in the jar. Okay, table number 3, you guys have suggestions? What's yours?
My suggestion is like, since sugar to me it's like sticky, so I think like if you like grab a handful and then just like do this to your hands, you'll see the sugar on your hands.
Okay, so if we grab a handful of this and we've got maybe some sweaty hands, sugar will stick to our hands.
Yeah.
Tatiana, we're doing one suggestion per table, so we're gonna move on to table number 4. What's your suggestion? What did you guys come up with? That's okay. So the 3 of you didn't work together? Or the 4 of you didn't work together?
No, it's just we didn't really know how to do it. We thought it was impossible.
You thought it was impossible, okay? So that would be something that we could say, hey, I think it's impossible. I don't think there is a way you can do it. Table number 5, what'd you guys come up with?
We're thinking with water because sugar may be lighter than water, but we know that sand is not light.
It's made of tiny, tiny rocks.
And pretty much it's like when it's wet,
Table number 3.
because pretty much when the sand, because we're gonna use water, and if the sand, because pretty much when the sand gets wet, it turns into mud, and then you said it turns compact.
Okay.
But I'm thinking with the sugar, it might either float to the top or disintegrate.
Okay, so we're thinking at this last table, sand is pretty heavy. You guys have been to the beach, you walk on the sand, right? The water's up above that sand. So maybe the sand will sink to the bottom. Maybe the sugar, which is lighter than sand, will float, or maybe it will, what did you say? Disintegrate. Well, open up your jars and let's test that water theory. Here's what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I would like for you guys to do. When I pour the water in your jar, you are going to very tightly close the lid and then let it sit for just a second. Don't do anything to your jar, just let it sit. Okay, so you have to very tightly, just let it sit. I will come back. Okay? Alright, remember, let it sit. Tightly close your lid, let it sit for just a second. Okay? You're going to tie your tongue to the lid. Let it sit for just a second, okay? You're going to very tightly let it sit for just a second, okay?
I don't know how.
I wasn't over there screwing around.
I was
Maybe that's a sugar. Chicka chicka. Alright, remember we're letting them sit. We're gonna let it sit for a second. I'm gonna be passing around a sheet to you. On the back, there's an observation part that says mixture when first poured into the bottle. This is going to actually be when our water was first poured into the bottle. What did you observe? Okay, so you're going to write, what did you observe? That's as far as I want you to go. Then I have another set of directions. So let's see if we can follow those basic directions. We're going to fill in that first one. Go ahead, give everyone at your table. Okay. Okay, one for everyone at the table.
Take one and pass it around. Take one, pass it around.
Take one for everyone at the table. Hey, Mia's getting started. I like it. Thank you, Mia. She's writing down what she observed when she first looked at that bottle or the jar. Very nice. You got lots of great observations happening. So you're going to flip this over. And we're looking at this spot right here. What did you first notice when we poured that water in? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, right now what we're looking at is the very top one that says, what did we do first? What was our first observation? There were 4 sheets. There it is. Okay, so what did you first observe? Yes, what did you okay, what did you, the first blank spot that you came to? This is the first blank spot, okay? What did you observe when I first poured the water in? Okay, did you all get observations written?
Check this out.
No? Just put it in the garbage. It'll be okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Come on. Now I want you to make sure that you have very tightly closed your lid. Very, very tightly close your lid. Like get all your PE muscles and tighten that lid. PE muscles. Just tighten your PE muscles. All right, check it. All right, I don't have everyone's eyes yet. So I can't move it.
It's either between
Wait for everybody's attention. Thank you, Alexis. I like what she's giving me the quiet symbol. She is giving me that quiet symbol. Skylar. Ooh, that whole table is nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to be able to move forward with the directions. All right. Everyone at the table has to have a chance to shake your jar. So shake it, shake it, shake it. I wouldn't bring it though. Did you write that on your observation? All right, fourth grade. Jars on your table? Eyes on me? I am going to set a timer. Now you need to listen for why I'm setting this timer, and you have to pay attention to the timer and your jar and your observations. I'm going to pull this together. On your observation chart, which I want everybody to be looking at right now, it says 1 minute mixture in bottle, which jar, bottle. 2 minutes mixture in jar, 3 minutes mixture in jar, 4 minutes mixture in jar, 5 minutes mixture in jar. So I'm going to set this timer for 5 minutes. Every 1 minute, you guys need to write down what you observed. Now you can't touch the jar anymore. You have to leave it where everyone can see it. Leave it alone. And when we set the timer, and I'll tell you guys too, like, okay, write an observation. Okay? But you're going to write what you see. Do not pick up the jars. Just leave the jar. Nope, you can't touch the jar. So unless you can spin it with your mind, no touching of the jar. I'm going to touch your group's jar so I can put it where everyone can see it. So you guys, while we're waiting for this first minute, on this side of the page, there was a hypothesis. You guys had a pretty good hypothesis. Yeah, it's been half of that would happen. On this front page, you guys have your hypothesis. Your hypothesis was, I don't think it can be done. Correct? Go ahead and write that on there. Okay, so on the, yes, almost. You guys can go ahead and do your first observation. Okay, first observation. After you guys are done with your observation, flip it back over to this front page. You guys had a hypothesis. What was your hypothesis? If you did the sitting, one in the jar and one in the lid, go ahead and write your hypothesis. After you guys have done your observation, there was a spot for your hypothesis. Find the lighter pieces versus the darker ones, and the lighter pieces. Alright, on the front of your page. Okay, you already did your hypothesis. Okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, do your next observation. 2 minutes.
1 minute.
This one should have been here. Because there was already something, so this one, make sure we're first one in. We've already done this one, we're on this one.
So we don't get sugar and sand.
This is the one we just did. Nothing should be written here. Almost done, but then this one. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and do your next observation. Somebody's working so hard. I will be collecting the minutes. If Mrs. Ehart wants them to all right, write your next observation. Our directions were just to leave it. So when you guys are doing your conclusion, you will have a variable, and that variable will be Gabriel shook our jar. You can write it on the 3 minutes when you're just, you can still have your observation, but you can just attach a little note. That's okay. Then you can ask him, or you can just put G. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and fill in that last observation. All right, now I want you guys to put on your scientist caps for just a second while I give you something to think about. Okay, you got your scientist hat on? Good. How many, and just raise your hand, how many of you have ever made Kool-Aid at home?
I have Kool-Aid at my house.
just raising hands. Okay? What do you mix in? So you have water, and then you have the package of Kool-Aid, and then what do you add to it to make it not taste bitter? What do you add? You stir it, yes, but you have to add something to it. We're adding sugar to it. Now here's my question for you guys. When you're drinking your Kool-Aid, is there, like, are you eating the sugar?
No.
What happens to the sugar when you mix it into the Kool-Aid?
It dissolves.
It dissolves into the water. So when I asked you guys if we could separate the sand and the sugar, have we essentially separated them?
Yeah.
What do you think happened to the sugar when we put it in the water and shook up our jars? What do you think happened?
It dissolved.
It dissolved. So if I were to take this now and drain out all the water, what would I be left with? I would be left with sand. Did we separate our sugar and our sand?
Yes.
We sure did. We absolutely did.
But you said you wanted your sugar.
You said I wanted my sugar back.
But you
So now let me ask you this. If this wasn't gross sand and you poured the sugar water into a cup, could I have my sugar back? Would there be a way for me to get my sugar back? How could I get my sugar back out of that water?
Putting it into the light.
I could put it into the light.
Because the sugar glows. It kind of sparkles into the light.
Okay. What else happens? What else happens to water as it just kind of sits there?
It like when it's in the light, it gets warm.
Can it get warm? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've moved on. We've moved on. What happens to sugar or to water when it just sits there? It's kind of like dissolving. Where does it go? It goes to down. It evaporates. It goes up. So as water and sugar are sitting there together, if it's not being stirred and our water is going away, maybe some of that sugar will settle to the bottom of the glass. Have you guys ever done that? You've had to re-stir your Kool-Aid?
No.
Or if you've ever had like sweet tea, you've had to go back in and re-stir your sweet tea. Or if you get an unsweet tea, because we're not in the South, and you have to add sugar yourself, it doesn't always dissolve. We can also find time in another lesson to see if there's a way to get me back my sugar. Because there is. There most certainly is a way to get you back from your sugar. So right now you guys have a little bit of time, and we can do that in another lesson if Mrs. Ehart is gracious enough to let me back.
I'm sure
And if Mr. Milo isn't too upset that I just spilled sand and sugar all over the floor.
Oh, he's gonna be super furious.
He's not going to be fierce. Mr. Milo is. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, on that back side of the sheet, there is a place for you to write your conclusion. Please read those directions, write your conclusion, and make sure your name is on this because you'll be getting this entry. You guys name it. It is possible to pressure that. I actually have. There you go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth graders, eyes on me really quick. I have a website that I can send to Mrs. Ehart, or I can come back and we can even do it in computer lab. It actually shows you how to get the sugar back off the water. It's a really neat website. It's like an interactive website, so you actually get to do the experiment, like with the little jars and stuff on the internet. I will pull that site up for you guys, and you'll be able to see how you could give me back my sugar. You're not going to keep the jars. I'm going to dump the jars.
I don't know if it's like sugar.
You can take up some more. Yeah, absolutely. And please make sure you guys have those conclusions done. Follow the directions on the back of the sheet to answer that conclusion.
On your head, see if it felt like.
Aren't you glad you tightened that lid?
Welcome.
Miss Williams. You have to take it out.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, my last thing today. You guys had a conclusion. I hope you were all able to write that conclusion. Okay? So we've got sand up at the top. We've got our sugar water down here. And my question to you is, was this a physical or a chemical change? Is this a physical or a chemical change? What do you think?
Chemical.
You think it was chemical?
Physical.
You think it was physical? Elijah, what do you think?
It is,
Okay, Elijah, why is it a physical change?
because the sugar isn't fully, dissolved into the water, but so pretty much it's still there, and it hasn't become a new thing.
Right, because my water didn't change to become a new thing. My sugar is there, it didn't become a new thing. And I have a way that I can separate them back. And that was one of the things for a physical change. Could I make it so that I could get my substances back to the way they were? Remember, in a chemical change, we talked about that banana bread. I'm not going to get a banana back if I take apart my banana bread. I'm just going to get a mess. But I can get my sugar back. So it's a physical change. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you to leave your jars on the table because I have to clean these up outside. I would also like for you to leave your papers. Can you all hear my directions? I don't think everyone can hear them. I would like the jars left on the table. I would like your papers left on the table as well for collection. You guys have recess coming up, so please make sure that you're getting those things done and that your spots are nice and clean. Are you guys done? Bailey, you don't have a conclusion up. Please come get that done for me. Yep, not optional.
Unless you want to know how we spilled it on Aubrey.
Just said it right there.
Aubrey. You can stalk anybody from here. You can stalk anybody from right here. Hey, are you still
Are we all done here?
And they're too big or too They're too because I don't want to do it.
You are on your All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go out for recess duty.
Let's go with you.
Done? Should be done. Absolutely.
Because I'm almost